Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of the database CRUD operation tutorial series. In this video, we will be dealing with SQL Server database delete using C#. If you haven't watched my previous video dealing with the insert operation, please do watch it before coming back to this video. Now, in the end of the first video, this is what we'll ended up with. Now we have two fields, one for book name and one for the author name, and when we enter the book name and the author name and click on the insert button, the item is recorded in this data grid view as well as in the database. Now how do we proceed with the delete operation? For that, the process is when the user clicks on a particular item in the data grid view, then the book name and the author name in that row will be reflected in the text boxes, and then we'll introduce another button, delete, on the click of which the particular row item which has been selected will be deleted from the data grid view as well as from the database. Let's get started. Now let us click on the data grid view. This will introduce an event, the default event on the click of the data grid view in the UI, which is cell content click. For the time being, we'll deal with this event itself. Now we need to figure out which row has been selected so that the text boxes for book name and the author name can be manipulated accordingly. For that, we'll be using a property of the data grid view, which is selected cells. Now that will be if data grid view 1, which is our data grid, whose property selected cells dot, we need the count. If it's greater than 0, that means one of the cells is selected. Then we'll first obtain the row index. The row index will be data grid view 1, again selected cells. Now we will find the first selected cell and the row index where it is present. After that, we need to obtain the entire row. For that, we will make a data grid view row variable which will have data grid view 1 dot rows of which row? The row index. So the row which is pointed by the row index will be obtained and it will be stored in the data row. Now we need the three parameters: string. Okay, the first column is the ID. Int ID is, now why am I using convert.to in 32 is because the data row values are in the form of objects and we need to typecast it to the appropriate variable type. So here it is int, so we are using int 32. That will be the data row dot cells is the first column, so 0 dot value. That will give you the first one. In the similar lines, we will find the values for the next two elements. String book name is convert dot to string because it's a string. Data row dot cells of 1 dot value, and we'll copy paste the same for the author name, but it is 2. Now we have stored the three values in the variables. Now we have to update the textbox1.text and textbox2 accordingly. And for that, textbox1.text will be the book name, and textbox2.text will be the author name. Now let's put this to a test. Yeah. So when we click on 2, we get this. Its corresponding book name and the author name. 5, 4, 3. Now, although this works, now if I select the entire row, there is no change. That's because we are using cell content click and not cell click. So because there is no content in these rows, in this particular cells, I'm sorry, there is no change reflected and the event is not invoked. So let us change the cell content click to cell click. Let's first rename the function to cell click. Let's go to the designer. Now you have to find the data grid view here, and we found it here. Now let's see this event handler. The event handler associated with the cell click is cell content click. Let's change it to cell click, and we changed the function name also to cell click, so let's change it to cell click. Okay, now let's save this. Now let's see. When we click on the rows, the change is recorded. Now we pretty much did the first part. Now we have to introduce a button for the delete function in the UI. Let's do that. I just copy pasted the insert button again. Now let's rename it, rename the text to delete. Now obviously the delete color won't be green, so let's make it red. 255, 153, 153, let's see. Yeah, so pretty much looks alright. Now let's code the delete button. Okay, so pretty much when we click on delete, it should delete the row in the data grid view as well as in the table. So now for that we need the ID, but the ID is a variable which is private to the data grid view. So let us introduce a variable int book ID, and let us use that here. So it's a global variable for the entire class, so that we can access the same variable in the delete button click as well. Now let us just write the same connection variable and con.open. Let us create a command variable. Now the query for delete is delete from our table is book, where now let us go back to the management studio. Our book ID column name is book ID, right? So we have the book ID, so we have to compare it. We have to compare it with the column name book ID. Like, we'll use the parameterized query, and the next parameter is the connection variable. Now let us define the parameter (0) to our global variable for the class book ID. Now let's again execute it, com.execute non-query, and let's close the connection. Con.close. Now once that is done, we need to reflect the changes in the data grid view as well. Although the delete function has been performed in the table, the data grid view won't update automatically. So we'll use the set grid function which we created in the last video for the insert. This will be used pretty much in the entire series. Set grid, which will update the data grid after the delete. Now let's see. Yeah. So let's delete the fourth ID. Delete. Now if you see, the fourth item has been deleted from the data grid view. Let's check the table. This is our management studio again. There you go. There is no fourth ID, book ID item in the table. So that's about it for this video. Please subscribe and stay tuned for the further videos. Thank you.